All right, so Stone and I are ready to start our day of advocacy. Here on the Hill, we have 5 meetings set up with the Washington delegation. We have 3 members of Congress we're meeting with, the staff members, and our 2 senators as well. And it's super cool. Baby, I never thought we'd be here. Trying to think about it. Our journey, Stone's journey, where he was before we unlocked him and was able to communicate 3 years ago. Never ever did I imagine we'd be sitting here advocating, rather, non-speakers.
Welcome to the lighter side of the spectrum, the podcast that celebrates the multiple hats we wear and the juggling acts we perform in life. Whether you're parenting kids and teens on the autism spectrum, navigating the ever-evolving healthcare industry, or building a more inclusive and impactful world, this is your space to find connection, inspiration, and growth. Together, we'll share stories, tackle challenges, and explore how innovation and inclusion create better outcomes for everyone. Because no matter the spectrum, there's always a lighter side. Now here's your host, David Kaufer.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the lighter side of the spectrum. I'm David Kaufer, and today's episode is going to be a little different, but it's going to be a special one. So I'm going to talk about, over the last 2 weeks in September, my 19-year-old son, Stone, who's non-speaking autistic, he and I traveled for 2 weeks from Atlanta to Washington, D.C., and finally to New York City, sharing his story, advocating for communication rights, and witnessing moments that were both powerful and emotional, and also unforgettable. We met with congressional leaders. We shared the stage at the world's largest PR agency, and we stood quietly at Ellis Island as he reflected on the courage of our ancestors. But most of all, we shared presence with each other, with new and old allies, with strangers who were moved by Stone's presence and his words. So today I'm joined by my friend, fellow podcaster, producer, Dave Yas, as we walk through the journey, the highs, the insights, the magic of spelling in public spaces, Madison Square Garden, Dave, the growing movement behind presuming
MSG.
competence. So it won't just be a travel recap. I just want to just share what was really kind of a magical trip that we called Stone's Autism Advocacy Adventure.
I was going to say David and Stone's big adventure, but yours is better. Yours is much better. I'm excited to hear this, and I'll be jumping in to ask questions because I followed your journey on Facebook, and it was very exciting. And I love how along the way you would pause the photos of you and Stone to put something up about what's going on in the country when it comes to autism. None of which is that great, unfortunately.
No, there's a lot. Yeah, that could be a whole nother episode, particularly.
Yeah, but I want to hear all about it. Does Stone travel well?
He is an awesome traveler. Yeah, always has been since he was young. Very lucky in that way. I know that's not the case for many who have kids on the spectrum. Change, He's kind of he breaks the mold in so many of the stereotypes, Dave. Like, again, great traveler. He rolls with the punches. Like, he's not one who's like stuck in routines. Like, you could disrupt things, and he just kind of goes with it. Again, it's always been kind of chill that way. So that makes it ideal for this. That's what made me confident heading into this trip that we could do it.
That's great. I wonder if some people with autism do like travel because there is a rhythm and a pattern to it. Adrian loves travel, so this is, and it's my adult son with autism who's kind of he's verbal, but he's always going to need some help. He's somewhere on the spectrum, but he has trouble with when we're on vacation, like the day before we go home. He keeps asking questions about when we're going to go home because he wants that the the week that we're away is, as he would call it, a very, very messed up week. It's been a very, very messed up as a song. And and so he keeps making sure that we're going to get back to his routine at home. But the actual travel, like the plane ride, the bus ride, the car ride, loves it. Loves it. Happy as a clam.
Well, so it's similar for us, Dave. It's kind of funny because heading into the trip, we always have the great countdown. 6 more good nights, go to car, airplane, Atlanta. Like that was like leading up to every day, right? Like, and then,
Oh, yeah.
and then as soon as we were in Atlanta, even though we talked about being a long trip, the countdown started to coming home and seeing mom and Cosmo, our
Right.
dog, right?
Oh, that's funny.
Even though he was having a blast, I mean, he was fine. I'm checking in with him all the time. There is that, like you said, there's that milestone that you're working towards, or just, maybe like you said, it's kind of the return, the reassurance that there's kind of the return to normalcy. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. They do at some level. I think I know you said Stone's not upset by changes in his routine. That's great. But that doesn't mean he still doesn't appreciate the routine. I don't know. I think most kids are like,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just like a lot of people. I mean,
Well, that's true.
Travels, right? Yeah. Travels a lot of work. So the first thing I want to talk about as kind of like a shout out, and here's our tip of the week we'll do early. For those who don't know, there's the TSA Cares program. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, Dave.
Yeah, familiar, but we haven't necessarily taken advantage of it. But
okay, yeah. So basically, you could sign up if you're traveling with anyone with any type of a disability who needs extra care or anything along those lines. You could go to the website, you fill out the information, basically explain what your situation is. In our case, again, I just said with Stone, he's non-speaking. He can be kind of overwhelmed with the sensory issues and just just makes the whole security screening process a little challenging. Although again, in his case, he does well, but they offer it. And this is kind of like the discussion with our podcast with Shannon a few weeks ago. Something's offered, why not take advantage of it? And again, my experience has been fabulous. So, I filled it out. We got to SeaTac Airport on the day we're heading out to Atlanta. Got a text and a phone call from a TSA agent, 4 a.m, he was on it, arranged to meet us. And we just flew through security. And then he told me, I didn't have the prop. I meant to bring this up, but there's another program. It's called the Sunflower Program. And this is something that was, I believe, started in the UK. So people should look it up. Look up Sunflower lanyards. And basically, someone who can travel who has a disability, typically they call it a hidden disability, like autism, right? It's not something that you necessarily would see, but it gives people in airports, public spaces, all kinds of concert halls, like it's really grown.
Really?
Gives them something visible to know that, hey, again, this is a person with a hidden disability. And then as a caretaker, you also wear one because you're, taking care of them, you're with them. And what I didn't realize, the TSA agent and SeaTac, Stone's making his appearance.
Well, you're talking about his travels.
Yeah, exactly.
David, did you say the sunflower something? Sorry.
Sunflower something, yeah. If you want to check it out, and we can share it. But the TSA agent and SeaTac say, hey, if you're wearing this, if you have that, when you go to board the flight, you can actually pre-board when they talk about those who need extra time or assistance, and the airlines will respect that. It's like that's what they're expecting. And he was right. And again, that was just one more thing that just made it a lot easier. So Stone and I got to pre-board, with our little lanyards, and the airline, everything was great. Like that, again, that was step one, like no hiccups with the travel, which is huge, right? That's a big part of it right there.
For sure. If you want our listeners to know, and they should, Hidden Disabilities Sunflower, you go to hdsunflower.com, hdsunflower.com.
Great.
And as you say, a simple tool for you to voluntarily share that you have a disability or condition that may not be immediately apparent. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I think you pay a few bucks for the lanyard, and it's very, very reasonable and well worth it. I mean, well worth it. So we were traveling to Atlanta, and so I'll back up. The reason we were going to Atlanta in the first place was months ago, I had a friend reach out to me asking if I was interested in presenting to a conference that she was organizing. Now, this conference was for like HR professionals in the wood and paper industry, which is funny. But they were looking for an inspirational speaker, and she had been following our journey, all along, and just thought it was, and knew that I wanted to get out there and tell our story. And she thought it was worth getting us to Atlanta to telling the story to her audience. And said, "Are you interested? We can't pay you, but we'll cover your travel costs." So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it."
It's a free trip. Yeah.
A free trip to Atlanta, right? Yeah, I figured you could.
Yep.
Stone and I will figure something to do. And it's a good way to start getting my chops in the public speaking circuit, which is something that I do want to do more of moving forward. So that's what kind of set everything in motion. But then once we had the speaking gig lined up, I said, well, that's, it's a long trip to go just for a free trip and for one speaking gig.
Sure.
What can I do since I'm going on the East Coast? And that's when I got the idea to reach out to a colleague, a friend colleague, who's also an Oregon Duck, but he happens to be the CEO of the world's largest PR agency, which is Burson, located in New York. And like my other friend and former colleague in the PR world who got us a speaking gig, he also has been following Stone's journey forever and has been commenting on all the progress, really engaged in it. So I'd reached out to him and said, "Hey, Corey, what do you think about us going to New York and doing like a lunch and learn for your agency?" And he responded right away. He's like, "Love it. Let me connect you with our inclusion and impact team. And you guys can kind of take it from there." So long story short, connected with them. Great people, great team. They love the story, of course. They're like, "Oh my God, this is great. Would love to bring it." The only hitch is, because I told them we were going to be there the end of September, they said, "Any chance you could be here on October 2nd? And
now, David, back up one sec. But,
yeah.
So in meeting with the PR members of the PR agency, is the aim to educate themselves about people with autism, or is the aim for you to get certain messages out that as a PR team, they can?
Both.
Okay, good.
Great question. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So in the back of my mind for a long time, Dave, I've had this idea that communicators, professional communicators like myself, like you, and the PR world would be great advocates for the non-speaking community because we understand the power of communication. We understand the power and the inherent human right aspect of it, right? Like, and so I've always thought, like, how can we engage the professional communicator community? And so I came up with this coalition idea, Communicators for Communication Rights, kind of on the fly as I was like pitching this to Corey and his team, but they loved it. And, and the idea is let's get advocates within the professional community. And we could talk about that whole idea, but that was kind of like, that was the pitch. Like, hey, let's launch this Communicators for Communication Rights initiative and talk about communication rights to professional communicators. And that's they, like I said, they loved it. Just the timing. So it was literally 1 week after the Atlanta presentation that I was booked for. That's com4comrights.org. Yeah. So that's how it kind of came together. So we had kind of the bookends, right? We had the Atlanta keynote and then this New York opportunity to present to this huge PR agency and professional communicators. And like I said, it's really to help kind of educate them, but get them on board and start the process of really advocating for non-speakers in an organized way.
Okay.
We are okay.
Happy.
You're sleepy? Why don't you go take a nap?
We're gonna go tonight.
Yeah. 3 more good nights. 3 more good nights and we'll see Jeanette. That's his occupational therapist. He hasn't seen for a few weeks.
Go tonight.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, there we go. The countdown, right? I'm familiar with.
There it is again. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's consistent.
Yes, he is.
That's
so
that's great.
Here's the what. So we're like, okay, let's go to DC. Let's go ahead and use the time in between the stops and see if we can get some meetings with like congressional leaders, our senators, staff, and really do some in-person advocating as well, just for communication rights and more from a national level. Now, the wild thing is with Atlanta. So again, we're like, okay, well, we have the speaking opportunity. What else are we going to do there? I reached out to a friend from the non-speaking world, actually one of the moms who was featured in the telepathy tapes, who I just have so much respect
Oh,
for,
okay.
who lives in Atlanta. And so
Sure.
I just kind of casually mentioned this was about a month before our trip and said, hey, Libby, where I'm going to be down. Stone and I are going to be down in Atlanta. Gave her the date, later in September. Would love to get together with you and just meet, right? Just get together, right? Build a relationship. She
Sure.
said, oh, are you coming down for the Presume Competence Fest? I
Mm.
said, well, what's that?
Right.
She said, well, there's a group of us non-speakers and families who are convening in Atlanta. They decided to get together and talk about what we could do to help the community. I said, well, when is that? And she gave me the date. It was literally the day after our presentation.
Mm. Which is good. You can make that.
It was perfect. Like
You
it
were
was
there.
like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was
That's
like
serendipity.
it was
Yeah.
kind of serendipity or not. Like it could be more. That's a lot of the parents.
Well.
So again, we're talking about the non-speaking community, and a lot of interesting things happen there. But
Mhm.
regardless, it was awesome. So it was basically 2 day get together. Friday night got together for pizza party, a local pizza place. They gave us the patio and just a chance for the non-speakers to hang out together, which is so huge, and the parents
Mhm.
to connect. And then the next day was we met at Libby's house. There were even more. So it grew from what was going to be like
Mhm.
a handful to almost 40 people
Mhm.
that got together there
That's
in
terrific.
Atlanta. So it was fabulous. Like I said,
And is that,
serendipitous.
have they
Yeah.
been doing that for a while? And do
No,
they
this
have
was the
bigger? Oh, this is the first
first.
meeting, and they have
Yeah, this was
bigger aspirations for this.
Yeah. Yeah. So the time together kind of on Saturday was like, what do we want to do? How can we help each other? How can we help the cause? And the idea was to organize a more formal kind of retreat style get together in about a year, cap it at maybe about 100 or so people, families. We don't want like a big conference. There's a lot of conferences, but,
Mhm.
bring in speakers, resources from the medical community, just if you, again, not to make it a big conference sort of thing, but just a helpful resource. And just the biggest the biggest benefit is just the connection. Um, there
Sure.
was there was really just such a cool energy there, Dave. It's really hard to describe. And one of the things
Fantastic.
that made Libby, she's so special. And again, this is a little bit of a spoiler alert for those who maybe if they haven't listened to the telepathy tapes,
Mm.
and are interested. But like I said, Libby was featured prominently. Her son, John Paul, JP.
Hmm.
And then at the end of season one, you learn that JP tragically died after having a seizure in their hot tub.
Mm.
So Libby lost JP, but has
Mm.
um, carried on with the non-speaking community. Just like I said, amazing woman, similar to our friend Kim Credich, who also had lost a son. Uh,
Similar situation. Yeah. Yeah.
and so Kim
Well.
Kim flew in. So again, this kind of gives you an idea of how
Oh, really?
powerful it was. Kim was in Ireland with her husband. He's the head swimming coach at Tennessee and had been invited to speak there. So she had kind of tagged along. They did a week in Ireland. She flew in from Ireland just to be part of this Presume Comp
Amazing.
Fest, even though again, yeah, doesn't have a direct connection, although she's doing a lot of advocating. And so there was a lot of that. There was a family who flew in from Hawaii to be part of it to
Hmm.
Atlanta.
Wow.
pretty,
I mean, it's
pretty,
especially moving for Libby and Kim. I mean that's you've said it. It requires nothing I can say to that be eloquent to make it sound more dramatic. It's that dramatic. You lost a kid, and the only parallel I have is I'm friends with a family who they lost a son at age I think 17 to leukemia, and
yeah,
I'm a big summer camp guy, David.
right,
And
right,
this
yeah.
this kid was my camper in bunk one, and he was the cutest kid in the world.
Oh, yeah,
And so, I hadn't been in touch with him in the years to come, but then I heard he was sick, but the reason I bring it up is because they've become one of the leading supporters and fundraisers for the Jimmy Fund in Boston for cancer research.
Cool.
And I guess we all say to ourselves, what would we do in such a situation? And I'd like to think that you do exactly what you're quote unquote supposed to do, which is turn a tragedy into something good,
Right.
But I still marvel at it, though. I still imagine it's a lot easier said
Marvel's
than done.
the perfect word. I
Mhm.
marvel at both Kim and Libby, the way they've carried on, and their husbands as well, obviously too. I just happen to know both of them really well. But it was a great community. It was great connecting, and it's like I said, planning's going on for whatever Presume Comp Fest will be for next year. What was really cool, so we did the presentation that on the Thursday morning for the conference, which was our original intent. And that was a blast. Stone was up there having a great time running back and forth, stimming. I explained, what it was. Everyone was great. They asked questions afterwards. There was a great Q&A, so they got to see Stone's spelling in person. Asking him questions. Who was his favorite author? And he said Steinbeck.
Wow.
But what's really cool is we got feedback from my friend who had organized it. She sent me a text later just saying, I just want you to know that a woman came up to me and said that she has a 5-year-old granddaughter who's non-speaking, and it's been really tough for the family, obviously. And she just really appreciated the presentation, all the resources that you shared in your story. She said it gave her hope, which makes it, I mean, that alone just kind of makes it worthwhile, right? Like just to be able to touch a family that directly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, as you and I know, it's still to this day a lot of who when it comes to resources for autism.
Absolutely.
It just is. There's still, I mean, I'm sure there are great books and great websites and everything, but because we still don't know a lot about autism, it's still it's like, have you heard of this new treatment? Have you heard of this new thing? And of course, that's part of Stone's success story.
Yeah.
The fact
Absolutely.
that you knew people to connect you to the spelling community. Yep.
Yeah. We wouldn't be here without that. But we did do a couple of fun things in Atlanta as well. We did hit the College Football Hall of Fame, which was a blast. Yeah, I'll have to share with one of the cool features they have there is you have a chance to appear on College Game Day. They have kind of like this little virtual College Game Day where you get to sit there with a host, and you get a little video clip afterwards, which is fun. And then the
virtual Lee Corso and virtual whomever.
Yeah, it's with I think it's with Desmond and Reese Davis right up there.
Nice.
It's great. They have a teleprompter and everything. It's a lot of fun. I've got to throw that up on YouTube. But the trip, so part 2 was going to DC, and so leading into that, we actually got responses. I'd reached out to a number of primarily basically Washington State representatives because I just wanted to start getting the word out there. And got a response from both senator offices and staff from there, set that up. And then 3 congressional offices, all within kind of our area. So we had kind of a full day planned on the Hill to go up there. And then it was a matter of like, okay, well, I've got to put together some kits for them. Like I've got to have materials, like we were talking about communicators for communication rights. So I spent Monday doing that, kind of working with the business center. It kind of brought me back to my old days. When I did PR, when we would used to do trips like that, we would do press tours, and I felt like Stone was my client here. I was taking him on all these different interviews and putting together press kits. And what was great is he and I talked about this. Is he said, he's 19. First of all, he's 19, right? Like, what did we know when we were 19 about things like this? Nothing, right?
Yeah, nothing.
Let alone the work that goes into it. The planning and then the work that goes into the leave behinds and things like that. And I thought that for me, that was really important to have that education, that experience education, to kind of see that firsthand, to what goes into it. You can't replicate that.
For sure. Did did Stone, I'm sure he did, but did Stone have a sense of how cool this journey was,
Yeah.
and the fact that he was, part of something?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Throughout the
What
trip, there are
what
times he would say things like, kind of like, I can't believe, like, on this day, like when we're sitting there, he's like, yeah, I can't believe I'm sitting here and I'm going to meet with Congress. Like,
Yeah. Hmm.
thinking back, I said, yeah, again, you go back 3 years ago, if you would have told me three years ago that we'd be sitting here in Washington, D.C., getting ready to meet with Congresswomen, there's no way I would have believed it at all.
Right.
But what
Yeah.
was really cool, you probably saw this, Dave, is like the first meeting was with a local congresswoman who's a former pediatrician. So that was important,
Mhm.
right? Because again, her standing and her background. Now, my expectation was it was just going to be with the staff. I mean, that's typical, right? You get these meetings set up.
Mhm.
Usually they just say, hey, we're just going to have staff members. They take notes, they deliver the notes, and whatever. In this case, though, we sat down and started chatting with the staffer, and Congresswoman Schreier came in, and it was like, oh, that's
Mhm.
great. Nice to meet you. And again, I kind of thought she'd just kind of do the little pass through. Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know,
Right. And this
handshake,
is your
picture.
this is your
She's not our,
congresswoman?
no, she's
Yeah.
actually a couple districts away, but within
Okay.
the
Good.
Seattle, kind of like on the east
Got it.
side of Seattle, but
Mhm.
close enough. Um, she sat down and chatted with us for a good 10 or 15 minutes. And what was really cool there is Stone got to spell in front of her. He
Oh,
got to say,
nice.
it's nice to meet you. I'm really honored to meet you. Thanks, thanks for taking time. And you could see it. It's again one of those cases, Dave, where you saw it. Like she was kind of stunned to see it because she's
Yeah.
worked with so many kids, so many, in her practice. And she had said, yeah, I've heard about all of these, I've had parents come to me with so-called miracle cures and this and that. She just kind of would tune them out, but she said like she sees it. She's like, yeah, this is great. She's like, you've got to get in front of the Pediatrics Association or whatever. She's like, if you could get them on board, that would really help with whatever work you end up doing to try to pass federal legislation. And so that was huge to me.
Yeah. The spelling curriculum or the spelling method is really doesn't come to life just with a static description of it. You really do have to see it. I mean, I'm glad we've done it on this show, but it just explained, you use spelling so that they can communicate, but to see how much it actually unlocks is a different story.
It is everything. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. And that's why it's such a powerful combination to have me kind of tell a story, but then to have Stone step in and, tell his story
Right.
as well and answer questions and just kind of show it where again, people just are just, wow, that's great. That's so cool.
Mhm.
And so that was a big highlight. We had great meetings. What was the other highlight I just want to note from DC? Actually, there are two highlights. One of the staffers that we met with from another local, not our congressional office, but a local one, happens to be a currently non-practicing speech language pathologist. So
Mm.
speech therapist. So very familiar with working with autistic individuals. And he didn't even know about Asha's statement and the positioning against spelling to communicate. And it was another one of those great aha moments because Stone was sitting there spelling in front of him. And
Mm.
you could just see him. He's like, Asha's against this. Like my professional organization I
Right.
said, yeah, like go to the
Mm.
website. And he was beside himself. He just couldn't
Mm.
believe that was the case because
Well,
again once you see it you believe like you believe it just you see
yeah.
it you're like okay that it's ridiculous.
We talked about that on the episode where we discussed the issue of their organization, and mind-boggling. Yeah, mind-boggling that the short-sightedness.
Yeah,
But I'm
yeah,
glad you opened some eyes.
absolutely. And then the other one
Mm.
that was really cool was with our senator's office, the staffer who was in charge of disability policy for Senator Cantwell's office is herself disabled. She's blind, which added kind of a different challenge initially, because most of the meetings I'd been using the letterboard, just kind of the laminate letterboard, because it's easy and fast. But obviously, since she was blind, she couldn't see the spelling. So we went to plan B quickly, which was his iPad and his text-to-talk app that he uses in class. And that was perfect, obviously. He was able to converse with her. She was just amazing. She was fully engaged. I mean, everyone was engaged. There was no one who was just, you could tell, just kind of passing time. They all loved the story. They were all into it. But she was not only engaged, but actively promoting, like cheering him on, saying, Stone, and she told him the story of the man who was behind the ADA becoming law. And she said, he was just a guy who just realized that this wasn't a law and he had a disability, and and it was just really cool to see the back and forth there, the support, the camaraderie. And she encouraged us genuinely to stay in touch, to say, let me know how I can help. Once this gets to the federal level, if there's legislation, let me know, and I'll be an advocate. So that was super cool.
Terrific.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it was on to New York, which was kind of like each stop kind of got bigger and bigger. And as I said, New York, we had set up this presentation at Burson PR and Communications. They have about 6,000 employees worldwide. They had arranged to have it beamed around the world to their other offices and recorded. So it was a really big moment for us to be able to share the story, and it went great. Gabe told our story. Stone was up there, and kind of the mic drop moment was at the end during the Q&A. When the employees asked, how should we talk to our neurotypical kids about, we're addressing neurodiverse students like you. What can we do to make it better? And Stone, and I'll paraphrase here, but basically said, make sure that they, I think he said, teach them to treat us with kindness. We hear everything they say, even when they call us retards.
Bold.
And and it was just kind of like, silence in the room. I mean,
nice.
The co-host, he just said, well, I don't know what to add to that, right? Like that's powerful as it gets. But that's Stone. He'll say, he'll be direct.
Stone.
Yeah.
It's, one of the few moments where I call people on their behavior when it comes to the world of autism is if they do use the R word.
Good.
Or even, sometimes I'll call them when they do the libtards thing, I mean.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, what do you mean by that? That's a derivation of the word.
That's a great question.
Right. And so, and most people, there are some people, maybe it's a Boston thing, because that word, admittedly, when I was a young man, I probably laughed at it. When you hear it with the Boston accent, it sounds a little funnier. And in fact, Jimmy Fallon and Rachel Dratch made a whole thing of it on Saturday Night Live, and it was a punch.
Sure.
And then when the people started realizing that it's really cruel to, now neither your son or my son would have been designated as what they used to call mentally retarded, but so what? It means someone.
No, Stone definitely has. I mean, he heard that word growing up. He's told me.
Well, I mean, my son's probably heard it too.
Yeah,
he hasn't told me, but no. But I mean, people don't classify one way or another. They would just throw the word around, of course.
Right.
And it's. I tell people, it matters, And I've had people in the world of finance and law and other like professionals say, oh my God, that argument was so R word. And I say, you know what, do me a favor and say something else next time. And inevitably they feel terrible. Oh my God, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that.
Right.
And I said, I respect that. I know you didn't mean to be mean to me or to be cold-hearted or anything, but you...
now you know.
Now you know, and believe me, at least not in front of me would they ever say it again. So it does matter because it hurts. It hurts. It says it's okay to mock people who maybe need a little extra help in our society, you know?
Yeah. It's clearly derogatory, right?
yeah.
And derogatory and demeaning. And there's just no defending anything like that.
Yeah, there's no, I didn't mean it. It doesn't matter if you didn't mean it. I mean, you ever, you know, you go to a ball game or something and start calling people the N-word and so then say,
right,
oh,
right.
I didn't mean it. I mean,
Yeah,
ball game,
yeah.
anywhere.
Right.
No, that's not going to get you out of that's not going to get you out of that scot-free.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. And so I love that he used it. It's one of those cases where he, you know.
I was going to, you and I can, you know, explain it as kindly as possible, but coming from Stone, that's great. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, Stone had told me ahead of time, one of the things he really wanted to do most was see the Statue of Liberty. That was that was his bucket list item, really. And so we did do that. Had amazing weather, you know, took the ferry out there. It was like in the 70s, sunny.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was great. And what was really cool though is both on the ferry and actually everywhere we went, Dave, I made a point when we're out in public to have him, I would ask him questions, check in on him, and have him spell in front of others, you know, when we're out in public. And, you know, it's twofold, right? It was to check in, to talk, and just like we would do if we're, you know, traveling together, how you doing, and things like that. Now that we have that ability. But second of all, the point of the trip was to advocate, was to showcase the abilities that non-speakers have. And, you know, that's the best way to show it, is just to show it. Whether we're on a ferry, I mentioned Madison Square Garden. I happened to see that the Rangers had a preseason game at Madison Square Garden that had been on my bucket list. And Stone loves going to hockey games, so we were just like 5 minutes from the Garden.
That's great. That's the wrong garden.
I know. I thought about as soon as I said that, I was like,
Garden.
I know, the wrong garden.
Don't lump us in with New York up in here in Boston. But that's okay.
Yeah.
MSG, America's most famous.
Yeah, they have that everywhere, by the way. You can't not know that going there, because they have that everywhere, Dave.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. By the time you leave, you're very familiar with that's the world's most famous arena, or whatever they call it.
So I can tell you that my son, Adrian, has been to New York City a few times and just loves it. We once stayed in a hotel in Times Square, and Adrian moved his bed over to the window so he could look, like, at least in the morning when he woke up, he could just stare at all the activity going on out there. For some reason, that fascinated him. Was Stone overwhelmed at all by everything?
No.
If you were by MSG, you were right in the thick of things there.
Oh yeah, we were right by Times Square, you know, so we went there. No, he handled it extremely well. I mean, by the end of the trip, again, this was kind of, you know, towards the tail end. By that Friday night, we were able to have dinner actually with Kim Kredich's, one of her sons now lives and works in Manhattan.
Oh,
so
cool.
she had arranged for us to get together with he and his girlfriend, which was really nice. So we connected, and we were going to go to the top of the Rock after that. That was kind of my idea, like to cap off our week. And Stone's like, no, I'm good. You know, I'm tired, because it had just been so literally every day we were either, you know, again, either traveling or doing the sightseeing thing. We went to the 9/11 memorial in the museum. Which of course
was that how was that? Not, I mean, separate and apart from this
powerful
Autism Odyssey. Yeah, I've never been.
Oh, you haven't? Highly recommended, especially, you know, for us, Dave. I mean, it's such a, you know, pivotal moment in our lives, and
absolutely.
just brings it all back in so many ways. I think they did a fabulous job. The challenge there, and again, so, you know, from my standpoint, talking as a parent, like I said, I had to really navigate everything from an emotional standpoint, right? The regulation, and also making sure that Stone wasn't overwhelmed, not just sensory, but just the workload, right? Because as we've talked about, he has seizures. Luckily, again, it's been over a month, but that's always in the back of my mind, right? Just, is he drinking enough? Is he eating enough? But then being in a situation, again, you've seen and of course witnessed the stimming frequently.
Adrian does it all the time. Yeah.
Right. And his happy, we've talked about how, you know, that was really fun to see. So he was doing that throughout the trip. And it was really interesting to see the response, as it always is, from different people, especially New Yorkers. And I told him like he might want to tone it down on the streets of New York. I said just because there's so many people in the airports. But
when you say happy, he's kind of
no, he likes to go up to people and go happy, and try to high five them.
Okay.
Yeah, like he's like very, very proactive.
That's great.
It's really funny. So some people like just kind of either ignore him,
right?
Right, which people do, whatever, or some people engage. They're like, yeah, happy, all right. It's just part of his. It's part of Stone now, and part of his aura that he brings with him.
Adrian does a version of that as he says, "Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you?" Or if he sees a bunch of kids, "Hi, kids." And I'm usually I'm always ready for someone to kind of be
Say
startled
right.
Yeah. And I'm usually pleasantly surprised by how many people are friendly back. And most of them, I think, know what's going on.
Yeah, right.
But he's just saying hi. I know he doesn't know you, which might make it weird for you, but it's the same with Stone. Yeah.
I think context usually has a lot to do with it too. Like I said, sometimes, right? Again, if you're in your own world and someone comes up to you and starts yelling happy, right? You'd be like, what's going on? Right. It's nothing malicious, but it's fun. But my point being, heading into the 9/11 memorial, I had to tell him, like, this isn't a happy place.
Oh yeah.
It's a very solemn place, and he understands, of course, and he did great. I know you could see him, Dave. It was so hard for him. That's just one of those points again from not just the happy, but just the stimming. Like that's where you really understand that brain body disconnect. Like, oh, how much time and effort, or how much effort it takes to control the body in a way to not have those outbursts, like those impulsive outbursts that they, the tics and things like that. But he did it.
It's great. It's great when they can, all the therapy that you and I mutually have been through. Well, never mind our own therapy. I'm sure we both have plenty of that, but I'm talking the autism therapy. And the usual strategy is to gear the child towards appropriate behavior, right?
Right.
So, Adrian's mom would say, quiet hands, Adrian, or
right.
And it sounds like Stone is the same. Adrian can stop. It's not, I don't know if you call it involuntary or not. I don't think it's involuntary. He's doing it because it calms himself. And I'm if people listening just don't know, they can't see me rocking, but Adrian will do this in the car. He will rock. And, but I know he's happy when he's rocking. So unless there's some reason to stop him, I won't. So, but
I think that's the key.
But it is absolutely hard for them, and sometimes Adrian will check back in and say, sort of ask permission to go back to rocking again. Because they want to,
It's regulating. It helps. It's soothing. It's self-regulating. It's, there's a purpose behind it. And I think that's the difference, speaking for myself, again, that I've made, like I said, going back over the years. It's like, we were trying to correct the quote unquote behavior because, not really understanding it at all. You're just thinking like they're just doing this and it's inappropriate. Like even that word inappropriate.
Yeah.
It's
a loaded word. Yeah.
It's a loaded word. Right. But there are times, and again, the other case where he did this, Dave, was a few years ago when we did a family trip in DC, and we went out to Arlington. And so we were there for the changing of the guard. It's very solemn, obviously.
Oh yeah. There's another moment right there.
Right. And we're nervous, like, or anything, right? Like, we're just like, oh shit, is he gonna, and he did it. Like, so I'm just super, super proud of him, for being able to do that and, manage those moments. Like there was so much of that where he managed the moments so well. Better than, again, like I said, than a lot of 19-year-olds would do, let alone, non-speaking autistic 19-year-olds.
Absolutely.
So that was it. I mean, that was the journey, 3 cities, tons of memories. I mean, more than I, could say here. Just something that,
Well,
again, it's going to impact us forever. And we know we're going to be back, and everyone expects us to be back too. We're going to carry forward the communicators for communication rights. I'm actually reached out to Burson today with some ideas. I want to start placing some op-ed articles, working with them, maybe co-produce a video showcasing non-speakers. So lots of ideas.
fantastic. If you ever get as close to me as you were when you were in New York, and for those that don't know, Boston area, New York area is it's about a 4-hour car ride, maybe 3.5 if you're really flying. We have to make plans, and let me join you to some degree on your next journey if I can, and I'll bring Adrian along too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I would love to and plan to make a separate trip to Boston and the New England area. Of course, he needs to visit Harvard. I mean, that is still squarely in his sights. As a matter of fact, just yesterday, Dave, he told me, because we're kind of talking about re-engaging now, kind of like, okay, we've had a really busy couple of months, just so much going on between that trip and my dad's memorial. And now we're in the process of moving my mom. I don't think I've told you. She's family drama there, moving my mom out of a house she's been sharing with my sister in Vancouver up here, and just a lot going on. And so it's kind of like a check-in to say, okay, let's get back to it, back to school and back to working towards your goals. Goals are important. He said, I'll do anything to get to Harvard. So I said, okay.
See, you missed the opportunity to call it Harvard.
Yeah.
All those kids at Harvard are wicked smart.
They're wicked smart.
Wicked smart.
Yeah. So that's where we're going next. And before we go, I wanted to mention, did I share with you our first fan mail, our email that we got from a listener? It's really long, so I won't read the whole thing, but it was great, and I'm just so inspired by it. So the subject was grateful for your podcast and inspired to take action. And I'll just kind of read the first line. It said, "Hi, David. I commented on your podcast yesterday, but I wanted to reach out directly to thank you. I'm a school-based SLP who recently discovered spelling to communicate, and from the moment I learned about it, I was all in. I've already been accepted into practitioner training starting at the end of September. She said this to me earlier in the month, and honestly, it can't come soon enough. Since learning about S2C, I've been reading and researching everything I can to understand both the successes and why some remain hesitant. Your podcast provided such valuable insights that I'll be sharing with my director of special education next week as I advocate boldly for schools to embrace this approach. I know systemic change takes time, but as we all know, nothing changes if nothing changes." And she goes on to talk about her background and her disillusionment with ASHA, and then closes by saying, "Thank you for using your platform to shine a light on this important work. Your podcast was both encouraging and informative, and I'm committed to doing my part to make sure every non-speaker gets a chance to be heard. With gratitude, Kristen Nelson, MACCC /SLP." So thank you, Kristen.
Thank you, Kristen. Fantastic thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And keep those cards and letters coming.
Yeah, I need to do my part to make sure people know where to reach me. That's one of my goals as we kind of approach season 2, Dave, is I would like to get, more engagement, more interaction with our audience. It has been growing steadily over the year since we started this endeavor last fall. But for those who, want to know, you can reach me at david.kaufer, and that's Kaufer, at hey.com. And I do have my own personal website. Just go to davidkaufer.com as well. You'll see links there, blog posts. There's a contact me form there if you forget the email address. But please do reach out. We welcome any and all feedback. It's truly a joy for me to be able to do this. And Dave, thank you for your support and helping me with this project and moving it along as well.
You got it. And, all the organizations that we mentioned in today's show, find it in the show notes. And by the way, if you're listening and you've got your own organization connected to the world of autism or tertiary to the world of adjacent to the world of autism, whatever. Tell us about it. Email David, and we'll mention it on the show.
Yeah, we're always looking for great new guests, and again, looking forward to carrying the conversation forward. So until next time, this is the lighter side of the spectrum. We'll see you later.